Hello, I'm Noah Jackson of Full Circle Real Estate, and welcome to the Detroit Investor Series. I'm here to help guide you through the process of what it really means to invest in Detroit. And if you're looking for real numbers, real insight, and real opportunities, not just the hype, this is the series you want to be locked into. So, a little brief story about me. I'm from an area of Detroit called 7 Mile Woodward, which is considered kind of the northern part of Detroit, close to the border to the north. And in the area, there's a donut shop that my mother used to work at for over 30 years called Dutch Girl Donuts. Everyone from all around known it for a very long time over the decades, and it's become a local staple there. So I grew up meeting all sorts of different people and all types of backgrounds and nationalities in that area. And as I moved out, and as my family has moved in different parts of the city, I've become aware of the different ways that the city ebbs and flows, and not just the downtown areas. What you want to get to know is that Detroit is not like what you see in the movies. It's not like what you see on TV. In fact, it's like any other town that you might come to think of. The difference, though, is that Detroit has a lot more creativity. Motown, Motor City, known for music, Motown Records, which still has a huge legacy in Detroit today. But what made that movement huge was the huge amount of support underneath it from local musicians, from orchestral musicians, from session musicians that used to live in Detroit a lot. That was the backbone for what music we've come to know today from Motown. So because of this, I want you to come and approach this series with an open mind about what you can contribute and offer to support people that make Detroit special. Section 1, Detroit in 2025. As of November 2025, median home price in Detroit is $100,000, up from $89,000 last year and $80,000 from November 23. As you may or may not be familiar with, cap rate is basically the amount of income that you make in a year over a particular property divided by your overall purchase price. And what you get is a rough estimation of how that property is performing. So it really depends on your goals. If you're looking for something that is going to provide you stability and something that is going to give you good cash and cash returns, you might want to buy a little bit higher, so that way you're not putting in as much money to a property as you would if you're to fix something and flip it over. Let's say you have a large war chest of $500K, even $1 million, a couple $1 million. You might want to invest that into an apartment building, because then you can get more return at a stable property. Whereas if you were to you could spread it out very thin amongst many different properties, but depending on your strategy, this is where you want to consult with me, so that way I can get you looking in the right direction and the right neighborhoods where you want to go. Currently, the more in-demand spots are either historical neighborhoods like Rosedale Park, Boston Edison. You have the Packard District, that's what they're kind of calling it a little bit, North End. Those kind of places have become pretty big hotbeds for residential activity, and you might be able to find more higher quality properties in those neighborhoods. The problem is you might run into issues with repairs. Because some of these homes are older and are in historic neighborhoods, you have to follow their rules and bylaws on how you update and improve these buildings. You can't just do whatever you want with them. You have to follow within the character of the neighborhood. If you're going to a more established high-end neighborhood, you're going to have a little bit of money to buy into that neighborhood, or to really fix things up and maintain it. That's where the money comes in. However, if you were to rent that out, you can really see a lot of great returns there, because those are usually the more stable and higher price point properties available for rent. Now, you also have development corridors like Livernois Avenue, Jefferson Chalmers on the east side, Livernois Avenue on the west side. And those areas have been highly invested in by the city, by the state, by private investors, people who are looking to expand their footprints than the usual places that folks look for. Especially Jefferson Chalmers, a lot of people don't necessarily think of that area as a place to live, as the East Side, in my opinion, has kind of garnered a bit of a reputation for not being as nice, a little bit more rough and tumble as the West Side. However, the plus side to this is that Jefferson Chalmers is actually a feeder street right into surrounding areas like Grosse Pointe, which has some of the highest GDPs in the country. I know that the Ford family and many old families of money stay over at Grosse Pointe. I think the owner of the Bills, the Pergolas stay in Grosse Pointe. However, you go through the street called Jefferson Chalmers, there's a lot of empty space and new development that's starting to happen over there. I've already sold as many homes on that part of the neighborhood of Detroit as I have on the West Side, where I'm more familiar, and that should tell you something about what people think about the area. Now there's another corridor called Livernois Avenue, which was also known as the Avenue of Fashion. And this used to be a huge corridor of shopping, of placemaking, people hanging out, of upper class shopping back in the 50s and 60s and 70s. And over years, obviously, things have changed. But as we get into the last 10, 15 years, there's been a huge push to reassert the area as the premier destination outside of Detroit. And so there's been a huge push for small businesses and business owners to start investing in the area. And in fact, there's a lot of history in Livernois Avenue. One of the biggest being Baker's Jazz Club on 8 Mile and Livernois. And if you know anything about music, don't worry. Like, Baker's Jazz Club is actually considered the first jazz club in America. People from Miles Davis to John Coltrane have played in that club, and there's still music happening in there to this day. You'll see the revitalization that's happening in the area. All sorts of restaurants and boutiques and shops, and all of the former glory that Livernois Avenue was known for a while has come back to fore. So this is an area, when you go a couple miles west of there to a couple miles, maybe a mile or two east of Livernois, you'll see that that's actually considered more like a bedroom community and one of the more posh, fancier areas of Detroit where people want to live. Lots of greenery, beautiful homes, and lots of development. Even some classic architecture has been spotted all throughout the area. Now, I know I went on a little bit of a tangent about some of the numbers behind the properties in these neighborhoods I discussed previously. Don't get too caught up on that. We're going to break those down for you real quick. There are 4 reasons why Detroit still cash flows. The first being is that there's a low entry price, so there's room for better returns. At $90K, you could buy a single family home and you could easily rent it out for anywhere from $900 to $1,500, $1,600, depending on the neighborhood that you look into. And depending on what kind of upgrades and updates and services you might offer, you can even price out more than that. The big thing is that tenants are going to want to see their value with their rent. So it's important that you leave enough room for you to be able to. You also want to consider the services and value that you offer in the unit. So things like in-unit laundry, things like attached garage, updated kitchen, even appliances that come with the property are huge attractions for high quality tenants. And you could vet for these tenants and make sure that they're able to pay the rents that you want, and you make sure that you do it in a neighborhood where you can be able to find value with that. And we'll go over that more later. But what I want you to really consider is that you can come in under 100K, have some room to spare, and purchase a whole property, sometimes with tenants right there in them already paying rent, cash flowing right away. The second thing is that there's stable rental demand. Now, I know that Detroit has built a reputation for unemployment, for downtrodden times, for people having hard luck. And it's true, there's a lot of issues that any major city will have with poverty, with dilapidated homes. There's all sorts of problems that any city will have that you can find in Detroit. However, Detroit is one of the few places where there's fertile ground for new development. There's fertile ground also for employment. As you might not be aware, Detroit just actually opened up its new GM headquarters downtown, in addition to a new tower, new skyscraper called Bedrock Tower. So there's more people, more jobs coming to the city. There's more hospitality that's coming in, that's been both nationally and internationally recognized coming to the city. And there's a lot of music and art and culture that comes in, through the city. Anywhere from jazz festivals to all the major conventions, they all make their circuit through Detroit. So you're going to have a very stable rental demand. And most people, because of the way that things are laid out, they're going to be in a position to rent more than they're able to buy. Now, if people want to buy, Detroit's a great place to buy too for your personal home. We'll get to that in a different video. But for us investors, I want you to know that there's actually a huge workforce demand for high quality housing. So that's going to be up to you. I think as an investor, it'd be smart to think about ways that you can actually add value to the properties that you purchase, so that way you can attract a higher quality tenant that won't destroy your property, or that will take care of your property in a way that will be beneficial for you. Also, there's a huge Section 8 population here in Detroit that needs high quality housing. Now, there are rules and regulations in regards to the upkeep and the accreditation of these properties, but it's important that you understand that Detroit needs high quality housing for everybody. So you can be a part of the solution with that by being able to purchase these homes and offering these safe, reliable properties for them to stay. And as compensation for that, I've personally dealt with agencies that do Section 8, and they do a fantastic job in bringing about high quality tenants. And their wait lists are usually pretty long, so there's always going to be a list of people who are going to need your help, and you can be the one to be able to benefit from that. The last thing too is Detroit is becoming a hub for a lot of Michigan's universities and institutions. Wayne State is the largest urban institution that's in Detroit, but the University of Michigan is opening up a huge extension building right downtown Detroit, and Michigan State has opened up an extension about 2008, 2009, and they're also doing a huge partnership, I think $1 billion partnership with Henry Ford Hospital just north of there, and they're building additional buildings, cancer wings, hospital wings, and really expanding their footprint right there in the middle of Detroit. And they're going to need housing for folks to stay in those areas. We're talking what we consider Midtown. Midtown is where a lot of the universities, hospitals, cultural districts tend to be, and they all lead closer into downtown. So as I mentioned before about adding value, where you can really maximize your dollars is being able to buy at a point where you could add value by not just paint and carpet, but also extra amenities like laundry room, like garage, like an extra bathroom or kitchen, like new carpet or new paint. I said besides carpet and paint, but you want to offer something that people feel like they can be their home. And you also don't want to put so much money into it that something grows feet and gets stolen, or something gets destroyed, that it tanks your overall budget. So you want to make sure that you consult with me and my team on different ways that we can really add value in those particular neighborhoods. And the other thing too is that you can do the BRRRR strategy very easily here, where you could buy a duplex, you could rent one unit out, stay in one another. You refinance it over time, so when you build equity, you can cash in on that equity and take that equity and you reinvest it into another property that you want to buy. and it's very much doable here. You can buy a decent multifamily for 100K if you're savvy about it. Again, I can help you connect the dots and how we can find these properties easy if you follow our strategy and you follow our team. The thing about value adds and burst strategy and all that is that it's important to have the money question answered. So, we have lenders and other people that are at our disposal that we're connected with that we can help you with these kinds of things. We can help you with non-qualified loans. We can help you with construction loans. We can help you with hard money loans. We can connect you with first-time home buyer for certain area codes that are more special than the traditional first-time home buyer loans. So there's all sorts of lending products that we have to consider, and we want to also think about expanding outside of just your normal big box lenders, because for investment properties, they require a certain type of lending for that to fit. If you use traditional lending, they're going to want certain things to work. Whereas if you're looking for something investment grade, they might not accept that. So this is important that we look into how you can maximize these value adds. I actually have a client of mine who I do property management for, where we're able to do a lot of improvements throughout the house as the home was being rented. One of the units has a Section 8 renter, and the other one has a market rate renter. And even with the market rate renter, it's still below the market rate for what that unit would be priced at. So we're able to essentially take a home that had 2 units in it and really increase the value on that. And over time, as my client purchased that property at 95K, they're going to come out on top of it over the next several years because they're able to not have to worry about major capital improvements over time as they've been done up front. Again, it does shift your numbers, and this is where you have this conversation with me about what it looks like to actually invest. But this is the thing that you want to consider. The last thing I want you to also think about is the neighborhood diversity. So you have A-class neighborhoods, B-class neighborhoods, and C-class. And what I explained to you earlier, Midtown, Corktown, Downtown, those are A-class neighborhoods because those are people who are going to pay the most rent. Those are also usually the properties that have the highest price sticker on them. Now you have B-class neighborhoods like Bagley, Rosedale Park. Again, they're historical. They tend to be more bedroom community, a little bit more quiet and close-knit. But these are supremely stable areas. So you can have a long-time tenant there for 10, 20, 30 years and paying, pretty decent rent. And then C-class is higher cash flow because usually you're paying less on the front end, but you're going to have more management to oversee the property when it comes to putting someone in there, placing someone in there, overall maintenance, things breaking down, security concerns. There's some things you have to think about with that. And even with security concerns, like I said, it's not unlike most other cities in the country, it's common sense kind of thing. So we want to make sure that we consider the different types of neighborhoods would affect the kind of rents you could command. A-class commands the most. B-class tends to be actually the most stable because, again, they tend to be the ones that you can place in there and forget about and be good. And then again, C-class is kind of where I'll consider that your starting point if you decide to come into the market. You can start at B or C-class properties to learn the ropes and learn the ways of the Detroit market, and then expand from there. There are pros and cons to investing in Detroit. The pros being cash flow is consistent. There are multiple extra strategies for you to be able to pivot in case things go wrong, and it has nationally competitive returns. Now, the cons, of course, we have surprises. The plumbing wasn't really plumbing, or you get iron pipes where it's supposed to be, or super old electrical system. I don't know how many times I've seen the octopus furnaces, a really old school furnace that kind of spirals out like an octopus. Those are really unwieldy, and only certain people know how to upkeep those, so those can tend to be a pain in the butt. But that's something that does come up. It also changes block by block, so comps can be a little bit difficult to come by. Again, you can use the expertise of my team to help you in searching for these comps and how we compile them. But it does vary block by block, and sometimes you might have a block that might look really blown out on one side, and then the other side of it is completely beautiful and green and birds chirping. Like, it really can be that drastic depending on the neighborhood. So again, don't judge a book by its cover. And then property management quality does vary too. We have a couple large scale operators here in Detroit. Some have a great reputation, others don't. But really, the quality of your property management is everything. And if you're looking for quality property management, my team does that as well in handling property management cases. So we're here to help you from the beginning of the process in searching for and buying the property, and also managing the property so that it's performing to the way that your numbers demand. So again, I work with clients all the time from California, New York, and Florida, and Colorado. I work with these clients that come in, they're looking in Detroit, and they come in with expectations. Now, there are numerical expectations, which makes sense, as any investor would have certain kind of expectation. But there's also the human expectation as well. And what I find in my experience is that you want to manage your expectations as much as possible, so that way it doesn't distract you away from your main goal. If you're trying to get a certain return and you have a certain amount to work with, you can maximize that the most here if you're smart about it. The number one thing I would say is, with our team, you want to analyze the neighborhood. You want to make sure you have good good contractors are a big make or break too. And I have a couple quality contractors that you can compare with. But having a right contractor is also really important. A lot of times the good quality contractors are either really busy or they can be more expensive. But I tell you this, you will want to pay for quality work done right the first time than getting crappy work redone a second or third time, and it costs you 3 times as much to get it done right. Get it done right the first time, pay a little bit more the first time, get it done right the first time, and it's going to save you so much more hassle down the line. You also want to work with our team in getting real live rent projection data, walk through deals with you, walk through properties with you, and then also come up with a portfolio strategy that helps maximizes your capital. So if you're trying to go between apartment buildings and multifamily, and maybe you want to geographically either spread them out or keep them close. If you have different financing strategies that you're considering, 1031 exchange, if you're looking to take a property that you have or a bundle property and split them, you want to cash out, I can help you with that. You want to look for something to help on the other side of a 1031 exchange, I can help you with that as well. So there's many different ways that we can go about in helping you win, but the most important part is you want someone that's knowledgeable, that understands the market, and help you navigate that market. As long as you're working together, we can achieve great things. And I think that with Full Circle Real Estate and with me, Noah Jackson, this can be done with no problem. So I would be happy to field any questions or comments in my DMs. You can reach out to me at noahjacksonrealestate@gmail.com. You can also give me a text or call at 248-952-8547. And I would love to help you achieve your real estate dreams investing here in Detroit. So this is part 1 of the Detroit Investor Series. I will have a part 2 to come up to talk about some strategy to help you along your real estate investing journey. Thank you, and I'll see you again soon.